Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Tuesday, August 4th. And we got a rocket on our hands. Looks like the market is way up here. The ES is making new highs. And Nasdaq is also on fire this morning. I think it may have to do something with earnings reports. Yesterday we had the Palantir reporting earnings. They're up like $18 in the pre-market. That's pretty impressive. So I guess that they reported great numbers. Overall, most of the AI trade is to the upside. So it looks like we have a pretty strong start of the trading day. Let's hope it stays that way. Let's take a look at the news first. So this morning we get the international trade at 8:30. 10 we get factory orders and job openings, so jobs. So 8:30 and 10. I'm not sure that either of these are going to really move that much. Maybe factory orders, but I don't think any of them is going to be moving the market that badly. I think the market is now driven by probably a ceasefire potential in the Middle East, and good tech earnings, and that AI trade. Microsoft coming out to good numbers, Palantir is coming out to good numbers, and really making a dent in how things are happening here. So market retraced from being down here not too long ago, down here in this lows, complete reversal, straight back up again. I mean, you can go back down here and you can see here the last few days what happened. We were down here at support at the 73.40s, and we are literally taking it straight up from 73.50 to 76.200 points in 3 days, and now we are making new highs. Question is, are they going to be able to extend, or are we going to run into resistance up here and kind of fail? Big question mark. Now, our default trade is failure, but I would not be that quick on that trade right now, given if in that few days of trading, this momentum, we can certainly blow this higher. So we may just be in for a little breakout scenario going on here. So going to get started this morning, I would start off a little bit less aggressive on the short side, looking to buy weakness, looking to buy weakness all the way down here to the, let's see here, 75.90s. Going to be this level right there. It'll be between these two levels, really, but in these two areas right there. Below that one, I'll take off the long bias. But I'm starting off looking to buy against that 76.25, 76.15, 75.95, 75.85 rotations back up. If both of these two comes out, the 95 and the 85s, then we'll take off the long bias and go back range. But at that point, it's backing off too much. But as long as if they back off a little bit, they don't take out the 75, 95, I'm going to be staying on the long side on this, looking to buy weakness or looking to get long for rotations higher. And that's how we get started. Pretty straightforward, I think, especially when we have big moves like this and we have good earnings driving this in the background. That is really the big deal. So on the short side, potentially short setups up here against the 76.50s. But as you can tell, we're in price discovery to the upside, so it's hard to say how far they're going to take this. We just have to wait and see where they cut off the buying. Because we're not quite in the move out of the middle just yet. We are right there at the upper edge. But if they keep going, we're going to be right there in the move out of the middle to the upside. And at that point, we'll just have to wait for a spot to cut off the buying. So that's where we are. It's a pretty good start of the day, I have to say. Second day of August, turning out to be, I think, a great start. Looking at the Nasdaq. So the Nasdaq almost up here against that 29 to 250 to 300. And again, Nasdaq most likely driven by the tech earnings coming out. Especially Palantir, that was a big move. They up like 15%, and I believe another company I saw was way up there. There was the no, not that guy. Let me see here. Coherent Group, Corning, and those are also AI related company. Caterpillar had a good earnings report. Them up 10% this morning. So yeah, good earnings gets the market in a good mood, what can I say? So that's kind of what's driving this right now in the early morning hours. So I would start off on the long side on the Nasdaq, looking to buy weakness at this point against the 29 150s. 29,080s, 29,000s, 28,950, 930s. Watching this edge right there, the 940 to the 950s. You see how they get into this. It's not quite a congestion area, but they have a ledge there. So if it starts trading below 29,000, 29,000, or 28,950 to 29,000, I would start worrying about I would take off the long bias and go back more range bound. So I'm giving it a little bit more room on the Nasdaq. It's always moves so crazily. So that's a new word, crazily. You see, moving this high a little bit. So this area down here, this is 910, and this is 29,000. Okay, this is 29, 29,080. This is 29,000 and 28,950. So these two areas. So basically, when you start taking out the London low, getting into the overnight session here down to the moderate early overnight session at the 28,950s. That's where we start thinking about shifting our bias. I would probably give it down here to that 920. To start trading down in the tail of the overnight here, I would be more concerned about the I would take off the long bias and go back range bound. So looking at the buy weakness on the Nasdaq, not going to be very aggressive on the short side. We're going to run into resistance here at the 250 to 300, 330s. So right now we're at the 200s, 250, or 220s. And we're up here at the 290s and the 350s, these two resistance areas. That's when you get a really good resistance. So that I would look for a potential short up here if you get that far. Otherwise, I would look for the market to stall, probably is a better way to say it. So I would look for the move to the upside to stall here, maybe see pullback from that point. But that's kind of the way I would where I would look for a potential short trade on the Nasdaq. Other than that, I would look to buy early weakness against 29,150, the 29,080s, 29,000s, 28,960, 950, 960, and 28,920s for rotations up. The trade below that 920 tail, 920 level into that tail, and then we'll take off the long bias and go back range bound, looking for a retracement trade at that point. But that's a pretty good back off. That backs off that much. That's a pretty good move. That's over 200 points to the downside. All right, so that's the Nasdaq. Both of them starting off from the long side, and watching very carefully to see what kind of momentum we're going to get to the upside here. Bond market. Kind of sideways. They've been a little bit to the downside, a bit to the upside. Right now, they've been testing the highs. If they can start retracing to the upside, I'll be happy. That's going to be good for the overall, good for the overall stock market. Right now, we are down here. We are probed below here on this lower edge. We're back here, so we are in true form, slowly grinding this to the downside. So they are below this edge right now. This edge is now resistance. And as long as they stay below it, I'm going to stay on the short side. If they trade up above that 109.16, I think they're, well, I may say 24, say 110. 110 is probably the better one to look at. So if they trade up above 110, I'm going to take off the short bias. Otherwise, I probably favor the short side, looking for short setups against the 109.10, 109.16, 109.24s up to that 110 level. So that's kind of the way I would look at it. But it could be a long trade in there too, as they run this higher, if they're going to do that. But that's pretty much just staying in this lower distribution and testing this edge. So trading right at this edge right now. So we'll see. But I would favor the short trade right now to get started and see if they're going to try to grind this lower. All right, so that's kind of how we get started on the bonds. Buying weakness, not so much, but if anything, I would buy all down to that 102, 108.24. So looking for buying opportunities against 109.6, 108.30s, 108.24s for rotations back up again. So that's the way I would look at it. All right, so by looking at the cryptos real quick, look at oil coming apart. That's interesting. So oil down to 78 bucks. Look at that run down here. Absolutely sold off from the 82 bucks to the downside. and pretty much holding down there. We'll see if it's definitely related to the Iranian situation. Let's see if they can hold this lower, or if they start shooting again, then everything's going to be well, back up again. So we're just going to take this with a grain of salt and see what happens in the next few days. If those talks are really for talks or they're just the same old, same old. Alrighty, guys. So the nothing else. Silver, gold, Ethereum, Bitcoin just kind of going sideways, back and forth. Nothing much happening. That both Bitcoin and Ethereum was to the downside. Clarity Act looks like he's going to have a hard time. So we'll see if the what happens next on that side. But as long as that's not passed, crypto is going to have a hard time. But you never know when they come up with something. Usually it could be look dire, and then suddenly they have a deal. You never know all the backroom stuff going on there. So that's the cryptos right now. Oh, paying attention to that one today. Could be a nice tradable opportunity there. Back to the ES and Nasdaq, and the key thing is right now. Let's see how far they can take it on the little move to the upside we have in overnight, and if we can get some follow through. Alrighty, guys, we'll wrap it there. So pretty quick update this morning, but when it pops like this, then it's pretty straightforward. Not much considerations. Just kind of stay on that direction until we see a shift in bias. Important thing to notice though is that you have the ES and the Nasdaq are well, ES specifically are in new territory, trade in price discovery territory. Barely, they're trying, and if they keep going, they'll be there. If not, this could fail right about where they are right now. Nasdaq could go a little bit higher before they have that run into that up to this 350 level. All right, guys, we'll wrap it there. So good trading. I'll see you back at 11:30 for the next update. Later.